So that was the moment former President Trump came on, shook JD Vance's hand together on stage, first time as running mates. Vance is 39, freshman senator, been on the job about 2 years, seen as someone who can help cement Trump's legacy long term. Bret Baier is with us now, and good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
We did not have Lee Greenwood live on the schedule last night, so that was a bit of a surprise.
By the way, the little riffing in between, you know, had a
it was nice.
little song and then riff. And
well, one thing Dana and I were talking about, the house band's actually pretty good.
Oh, really, yeah, they're really good.
Especially for a convention, they are excellent.
I like them.
So
I can't wait till tonight.
Home. Here's Vance on his upbringing from last night. Let's get to this right now.
I grew up in a poor family. I remember when my grandmother, who raised me, she used to negotiate with the Meals on Wheels people to give her additional food so that she could feed me. How does a family like that deal with Joe Biden's grocery price inflation? How does a family like that deal with gasoline and energy price inflation? It's gotten more expensive just to live a good life in this country. Donald Trump and I want to make that better, and we have policies to make it better. Democrats have lies and distortions.
Okay, nothing like a 20-minute heads up before you get the big notice.
Yeah, exactly.
How's he going to do?
Listen, his story is really interesting. You know, his upbringing, obviously, in a poor Appalachian community, goes on to school. Lawyer, Marine, is accomplished. His wife clerked for Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, the highest of the hierarchy of clerks in the Supreme Court. She is very accomplished, lawyer, 3 kids. He really identifies with Rust Belt, blue-collar workers. And I think they're just going to stick him on a bus in Pennsylvania and all those states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and then they're going to go back to Pennsylvania, and then they're going to go back to Pennsylvania. And I actually think that he is going to help in that aspect of it. There were some concerns, obviously, about some of the things he said before, but he's gone from never Trumper to full-on Trumper. And how this relationship evolved is really interesting. I think the former president trusts him.
And the youth and vigor is going to be part of the invigorating moment of the whole day, the moment last night. But I certainly think somebody wrote that President Trump upstaged him. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously that was always going to be the case.
Sure.
And it probably should be the case. Right, exactly. Right. I do want to show you this. This is a montage of some of the media ripping JD Vance. So the unity didn't last too long.
Be consequential for the world even before we have the election.
He's unqualified. It's a singular issue.
He is now picking a vice president who has pledged 100% loyalty to the cult of Donald Trump.
He would never stand for the Constitution before he would stand for Donald Trump.
If Senator Vance assumed the presidency, say in the short term, in the next year or two, he would be one of both the least experienced and youngest presidents ever.
And the coffee wasn't even cold.
Yeah, it didn't last. That whole unity thing didn't last. You know, remember all the experience questions about Barack Obama when he becomes the nominee? I don't think I heard a lot of that. Nope. And, you know, those people are not Marines either who volunteered after 9/11. So there's a lot here. That'll be vetted out.
I know a lot about his hometown where he grew up, Middletown, Ohio, so I'll share that with you a bit later and give you a sense of where he comes from. In the meantime, Joe Biden did an interview, and we're going to see him again today. Here he is with Lester Holt, which some people thought it was combative. I'll let you decide. Watch it.
Obama put out a statement after the debate, but should he and Michelle Obama be doing more to express their confidence in you?
No, they're helping me. They've helped me from the beginning. This is my job to get this done.
Have you talked to him recently about this?
I haven't talked to him in a couple weeks. I'm on the horse. Where have you been? I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all. Sometimes come and talk to him about what we should be talking about.
All right.
Okay, the issues.
That was at the end of the interview, by the way. So slid one hit in there at the end. It appears to me that he and Obama have not spoken since the debate.
It also appears that he hasn't watched the full debate. Mm-hmm. He said, again, he was asked whether he watched the debate, and he said only clips. Listen, I'm not sure these interviews are helping him. I really don't. Now, that said, I hope he comes on Special Report or here on America's Newsroom. He's invited. Mr. President, we'd love to have you. But I'm not sure that this is, you know, working on their effort to try to quell the upset in the Democratic Party. And we have a long way to go before the Democratic Convention. A lot can happen. There's still an effort to get him off that ballot, and it's real. It's not going away.
And the money could be drying up. We'll have a little bit more on that by the end of the month when they report. Bret Baier, thank you. We'll see you special report.
Yes.
And then tonight for special coverage.
You bet.
Okay, see you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.